Howard, my dad was T-boned by a utility vehicle. What should I do?
Aiken Law is injury law made personal. If you've been hurt at work, in a car accident, or suffered a medical mistake, call 312-6-million.
Now, the Chicago White Sox have Thursday off, and here come the Kansas City Royals this weekend. The Royals are 34-47. They're last place in the American League Central. They are currently 8 games behind the Chicago White Sox in the division. That will never get old this season. They lost their last game. The Royals have been playing better baseball as of late. They are 6-4 in their last 10. And just like the White Sox, they are struggling on the road. Identical road record as the White Sox. They are 15-25 this year away from Kauffman. The season series, the White Sox currently lead 5-2. So if the White Sox win this series, they win the season series against Kansas City. That won't get old either. Your pitching probables for this weekend. Kansas City has no clue who is starting any of these games. They are to be determined. So that's going to be a storyline of what the Royals have planned for the White Sox. But on Friday night, 6:40 p.m. Central Time, this is Illinois State University night. And also the post-game concert with DJ Marshmello. We'll find out who the White Sox could possibly start on Friday from James in a moment. Saturday afternoon, 3:10 p.m. Central Time start. This is the 1983 reunion. It's also the America's 250th birthday shirt. So first 15,000 fans get a free t-shirt. It'll be the Dart, Davis Martin taking the ball for the White Sox. And then on Sunday, it's Nickelodeon Day on Kids Day. It's also World Baseball Classic Kyle Teal bobblehead. I do have to remind folks, if you want this bobblehead, it is a separate ticket. Go to whitesox.com to purchase that separate ticket to get the bobblehead. Anthony Kay will be making that start for the White Sox on Sunday. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, after the series against the Royals, we will be giving out our midseason grades. So that'll be our next episode. James Fegan, what is going on for the White Sox on Friday night when it comes to the pitching? Is this another bullpen day, or could we see a call-up?
I feel like a lot of signs point to it being David Sandlin. He was lined up to pitch on Friday in Charlotte, and now is not. Will Dependable said that they felt like they were more likely to use a starter in that slot than go another bullpen day. He said when they did the bullpen day, he didn't want to keep doing bullpen days. It obviously led to them being very stretched in this series, having used Sean Newcomb and then having to use Sean Newcomb again in a way that Sean Newcomb certainly reflected was probably stretching them a little bit above and beyond with what he had to do. So Sandlin's beyond the 15 days. Everything lines up. They're being quiet about it, but certainly like no other alternatives have really been offered that make sense. Noah Schultz needs one more rehab start this weekend. Mason Adams literally just pitched while we were talking, or a couple hours before, so that's not an option. I think it's hard to see what would otherwise kind of really take hold, but maybe they're hoping for another rain out to kick their decision down. Also, they've slated Martin and Kay, who they could have moved up to Friday, given the off day, to still get their regular rest. That all just seems very setting up to bring up a starter. And yeah, that's my guess for what happened. Yeah.
All right. So we can see David Sandlin.
Sandlin's thrown 5 and 6 innings in his 2 starts since, so he's stretched out to where
there was some feeling like, all right, maybe we give this guy was just getting done with his rehab, and so now they feel like they gave him a few more full starts under his belt. So it all seems like it should line up for that.
If you visit SoxMachine.com daily, you know that Jim writes up the minor keys and recapping all the action down to the minor leagues for the Chicago White Sox. Mason Adams is a name that continues to pop up, Jim. And just with how well that he's been throwing, I didn't see in how he threw today for the Charlotte Knights. But the White Sox need some help on the starting pitching front. Mason Adams, popular name last year. Could he be making a start for the White Sox soon?
Yeah, he threw 5 shutout innings again for Charlotte. In Charlotte against Rochester, first place team. So that's pretty impressive, both terms of environment and opponents. And yeah, he's always been extreme command-oriented pitcher, kitchen sink pitcher, and the worry when he had Tommy John surgery was one, can't really afford to lose velocity, come back with anything diminished because he kind of like sits 91. So if he's sitting 90, all of a sudden like that, it thins his margin for error. And then if he has the typical command issues for somebody coming back from Tommy John surgery, like he could pitch past that. But you might take him a while to where like you can't necessarily count on him stuffing his way past these command lapses in his first year back. So I was expecting a conservative timetable for him. I was thinking like, Drew Thorpe might be back ahead of him and maybe even Kai Bush, because, depending on how Bush's stuff looks, coming back. But both of them have had setbacks, and Adams has been on schedule. And then, like, yeah, he's not walking guys. He's missing bats kind of as well as he can. The fastball seems to have gained a little bit since his last days in Charlotte before the surgery, when he was kind of dealing with the back issue or coming back from that. So perhaps he'd been down a little bit before that, and getting surgery and resting the other injury, allowed him to get stuff back. But yeah, he's looks like he's in line for an audition. Yeah,
So what's his velocity now then?
It's been like 92. So, which is what you're going to get from him. It's a case where he was always, a third day draft pick, undersized. He's not imposing in any way until you see him pitch. And then it's just a matter of like, he's just getting guys out and getting guys out pretty quickly, to where it's, 12 pitch inning, 14 pitch inning, 9 pitch inning. And then he's just cruising through. So major league hitters could expose that, or maybe not. Maybe he'll be useful, or maybe he'll be one of those guys who evens out to like a 4.50 ERA or something like that, but kind of a watchable one, a guy you don't mind having in the fifth spot in rotation. So yeah, worthy an audition. Looking forward to seeing it happen when it happens.
All right. Well, again, this is the final weekend of the first half of the season. Of course, some will say, well, the first half's on to the All-Star break, but then you're already past 90 games. The White Sox will be entering game 81 over the weekend against the Royals. Jim, on Sunday, one of my favorite annual traditions on Sox Machine, double up post. So he'll be gathering all the numbers from the first half and what guys are on pace for in the 2026 season. This year it's going to be a lot of fun, so I can't wait to read that post. But the last thing we'll touch on in this episode, who needs a big weekend to finish the first half strong? Jim, I'll start with you. Who needs a big weekend for the White Sox?
Feels like my draw recently. I think Teal is still working his way back to where you don't know exactly what his final form is going to be this year. Acuna has turned around to where he's a nice component on the bench. Jacob Gonzalez might be one based on his slump, although he had a couple hits at least. The curse of Keith Law, or the weight of Keith Law's expectations, crushing him after getting the raves that White Sox fans don't associate with Keith Law discussing a White Sox prospect, and he goes like over 25 or something like that. It's great. Just poetry like that. But yeah, otherwise, like, it's a pretty deep lineup where the guys who are not doing it are either rookies or coming back from injury, to where they don't need the weekend. So I'd just say like my draw for just the strikeout rate.
How about you, James? Is there anyone that comes to mind that you would like to see have a big weekend to finish the first half strong?
I would like to interview a winning or blocking out a save Sir Anthony Dominguez post game. He's had to wear a lot of losing closer post games, and I think it'd be nice to tilt the balance. That was definitely why we kind of wanted to wait out Sean Newcomb the other night to give relievers their shine when they do well, because they often have to face the music when they're struggling. Like the absurdity of talking to Grant Taylor the other day about like him struggling when he's been melting faces for most of the last like 2.5 months.
Yeah,
he even said like it's really been 5 good months up until this for my career. But Sir Anthony Dominguez is someone who, one, just watching him get booed out the field the other night, but is someone who's certainly juggling a lot in terms of Venable clearly does not use closers in a way that I think like any closer would think like this is what my job is going to look like as a closer. So I think like even if people don't want to hear it from him when he's struggling as the way he is, like I think there's room for him to say that it was surprising to him, even if, and I think he said it professionally. At the same time, like he's also had to talk about like he's just not throwing strikes, he's not getting ahead of hitters. I feel like the stuff is kind of there, so he kind of identified something mechanically after the Milwaukee outing at the start of the season, and like had some good outings after that. Seemingly could do that again. The fact that it's kind of getting pretty loosey goosey command wise multiple times this season obviously isn't good, and we do walk at this rate last year, so you wonder how much they can have it in. That said, like he's been good. He's been an effective leverage guy before, even if he isn't like established closer good. Well, the good news is that Will Venable is, clearly obviously throwing Grant Taylor at what he actually thinks is the most dangerous leverage spot in every game anyway. So getting Anthony back to just what Sir Anthony Dominguez is it for a long time, I think will be perfectly fine for this bullpen setup. And it'd be nice to see him get to enjoy that.
Yeah, a clean inning for Sir Anthony Dominguez this weekend would do everyone good. The White Sox, Sir Anthony, White Sox fans, I think that's a great call. James, mine is Jacob Gonzalez. He got a couple of hits on Wednesday, but he was like in a 0 for 28 slump. He's going through a lot, and he's trying to learn how to hit major league pitching. Also try to learn on how to play major league first base. A lot's been thrown at Jacob Gonzalez to trying to fill in for Munetaka Murakami. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Sox Machine, which if you're watching this show, I hope you are. James did ask Will Venable that question. It is part of our YouTube Shorts collection, so you can check out that short in which Will Venable gave an update for Munetaka Murakami. The hitting is ahead of the running right now. So we'll see. It's undetermined how close Munetaka Murakami is rejoining the White Sox. With that being said, it's going to be a lot of Jacob Gonzalez. It's still going to be a lot of Miguel Vargas at first. So it'd be great if Jacob Gonzalez could have a strong weekend against the Royals before we enter the first half. Fun series for the White Sox. Great series win for them. Let's see how this weekend goes. But that will do it for this episode of the Sox Machine podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. If you just discovered the Sox Machine podcast, you can subscribe to the audio version of the show wherever you listen to podcasts, such as Spotify and Apple Music. You could watch the show now on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Sox Machine, and along with all of our other videos, our post-game press conference videos and other feature videos and our shorts as well. We've been doing a lot more video content to get you guys a lot more White Sox content, especially from the clubhouse. So if you are watching our videos, please visit youtube.com/Sox Machine and subscribe today. You can follow us on social media. We're on all the social media platforms at the Sox Machine. You can follow James at JR Fegan. He'll be at the games this weekend covering them again for us. You can follow me at Sox Machine_Josh. What really helps Sox Machine is our subscribers, and you can subscribe at soxmachine.com/products, in which our monthly plans start at $5 a month, and that gets you the ad-free version of both the podcast and the website, unlocks the comment section as well. But we're still running the sale on your first month. And where are we now, Jim, after a White Sox series win?
They've been hovering around 52 cents last few days, like on rounding up, rounding down. So yeah, it's made it easy for me to check the price and be like, nope, no tweaks necessary. So 52 cents for the first month.
There you go. 52 cents for the first month, and then $5 a month after that. Again, sign up at soxmachine.com/products to become a Sox Machine subscriber. We also have additional tiers of support, including our Veterans Committee, which gets you into the group chat. We're going to have some exciting news at Sox Machine to announce, and our VC members already know about that news, and they also get to hear all about the gossip and the whispers and the gossipers from James at the ballpark. So if you want more, you can get more. Go to soxmachine.com/products and sign up today. The Sox Machine podcast is a production of soxmachine.com. You're for all things Chicago White Sox baseball. Alongside James Fegan and Jim Margulis, I'm Josh Nelson. Thanks for listening and watching.